with some visual aids to kind of help where we're going. But just to get into my background, uh, Tony, kind of like you, but not probably at that level of success. I was an athlete. I was in high school. Basketball was my way to go to college. I was born not in a very wealthy and in a little bit of a challenging situation. Not terrible, but just not perfect. And so the only way I was going to get to college is playing ball. And I got a partial scholarship for UC Riverside. And but then I decided to my girlfriend and I decided to have a baby. So instead of going to college, we got married and had our first child, and I have now two daughters. So college was a little more challenging than your average college experience. But got into, since I was an athlete, the short stories, got into sports nutrition, and I raced a little bit and a lot of different things, but mainly downhill mountain biking. That was when the X Games, I'm going to date myself here a little bit. That's when X Games was firing up, and race on Team Canada Volvo, and raising a family and working in sports nutrition. So I was very fortunate to have the owner of the company that I worked for as a mentor. His name's Mel Williamson. And at the time, you guys are probably a little young, but he was a pioneer bodybuilder. And I was 22 years old in the office, and Arnold Schwarzenegger would walk by, or Lou Ferrigno, or all the old guys with Joe Weider.
Geez, yeah.
Yeah, and Jack LaLanne would come in his suit, his jumpsuit, and so we're talking. This was a long time ago. This was back in early '90s. Okay, so I was able to cut my teeth in sports nutrition. Most of my adult life was in Northern California, Napa area, where I raised my children. And was able to work with the 49ers, Chargers, and Raiders and things while I was still racing. And I fell in love with building companies. Always had an entrepreneur spirit growing up because I needed money. If I wanted track shoes, I had to go earn that money. If I needed new football cleats, I had to go earn that money. So kind of had that bred in me, I guess, or forced into me. I'm not sure which, but it got into me some way, shape, or form. And created companies. We were able to build and sell a lot of them, and I took some of that money and dumped it in the year 2001, just before 9/11. I started up a nutritional epigenetics company, and that was because I discovered a doctor. I met Dr. Galvez, who discovered a lunasin at UC Berkeley. And lunasin is a peptide, a plant-based peptide, and I'll get into that here in a second. But decided to get into nutritional epigenetics. We took the science and the research from Berkeley into Davis. And again, I'll kind of touch on that here in a little bit. But we're fast forward. The latest thing I did just before COVID, we were working with pro athletes down in Vegas. So a lot of the UFC fighters and pro boxers, we were in that world before COVID hit. COVID hit and shut everything down. I mean, all fighting, combat, everything was shut down. And one of my good buddies, Sam Alvey, who's a UFC fighter, and I started talking. He's a foster daddy, and he said, "Hey Ryan, there's a huge need in the foster care." And I'm thinking to myself, "What's wrong? These kids they're taken care of now. They're in foster care. Isn't that what they're supposed to be in?" And I was incredibly naive. Okay, so it took me a few years to start digging in and learning. But I'm like, well, in the meantime, let's showcase this when we get out of this COVID mess. Use your fame and had another unrelated business. Badou Jack, he's a 2-division world champion boxer, and Amir Abdallah is a promoter. He promotes people like Mike Tyson and others. I'm like, how do we use your guys' fame and platform to showcase these kids have been sheltered in with their abusers in some cases, and nobody's there to help. I mean, talk about a hopeless situation. Now that they're coming out, what do we look for? And then if we see something that doesn't look right, what do we do? So it all started from that, of a naive, me being a naive person, to like, how do we fix this problem? So we came up with the Fight Abuse program name because we're in combat sports. And so from that point on, it was just a nice little side gig that I was doing, but I loved it. And so if I was going to work on that day, I had no problem getting up and 4 o'clock in the morning, whenever I had to get up to do it, to work on that. And the rest of the days I'm going over here and like, geez, I got to get up, because we have contract manufacturing companies. We have some other stuff too. Well, then it's fun. So fast forward to where we're at today, and Ray's helping me. It's a below ground level opportunity. We haven't met the ground yet. So we're just below the ground, and we're trying to get to the ground to create a ground level opportunity. But everything we are focused in on is to give hope and purpose to everybody involved that we're working with. And that includes these poor kiddos who've been abused or neglected. They have to go through unimaginable recovery programs and stuff that I know I can't even imagine. But I've been on campuses where they rubberize these buildings to make sure there's no sharp objects, nothing there to, where these kids can hurt themselves. So I've seen that. I've seen people who've been recovered, and they're never truly, in my opinion, 100% recovered, but they've gotten through a lot, and life has been enhanced. So that's our main focus. How do we create funding mechanisms for those amazing individuals that do that good work for these people? And also, how do we create hope and purpose for other people like me who, I need a purpose in life, where to go. I want hope for the future. I want hope for everybody in my community, in my church, and children and grandchildren. So that's where we created the Fight Abuse program. And so that's where we're based off of. We are a faith-based organization. Doesn't mean that we aren't working with non-faith-based individuals. It's just our culture is surrounding faith. So that's kind of my background. And if you guys don't mind, I can blow through a quick PowerPoint just to show you some visual aids of where we're going. And it's not polished by any stretch of the imagination. So, okay. Mm-hmm. So the Fight Abuse logo, we built it into a house. So the house is kind of overarching the abuse and causing a kind of a safe haven, for lack of a better description. We work with celebrities, athletes, entrepreneurs to create impactful, really sustainable revenue streams dedicated to helping child abuse. Now it's kind of gone beyond that too. We're working with other groups as well, women who've been battered and things. So what we started with the kids. This is what our website looks like. So we have our little shield, which is our Fight Abuse shield, shielding people. We have like angel wings. This is Sam Alvey and his wife. They're the couple that introduced me to the need. We work with people like Central Missouri Stop Human Trafficking. So if you were to click on, let's say, Girls Town, you would be able to find out what they're doing, how they help people with what treatments they have available, and other non-monetary things like they need appliances or carpet. And some people can come onto this website and say, wow, I can do that. I don't have any money to give them, but I own a carpet, company or whatever, so they can donate. And I'm not going to get into this, but our goal is to get them up, so the sustainable revenue streams around 90 to 100,000 a year, which they can kind of count on rather than just on fundraising initiatives that go up and down over the year. This is kind of more of a steady thing that they can count on. We're starting off with Relive. So this is our Fight Abuse um, company, we're going to have new brands coming in. But if you can imagine, Fight Abuse on the e-commerce site is a mini Amazon. Okay, we're going to vet the products and services coming in, but we're not going to just carry one brand. Some of the brands that we are going to be carrying are available off of our platform. Others aren't. So some of them will be exclusive to the Fight Abuse program. But the more products and services we can offer, the better it is for the nonprofit. So we are starting with Relive, and I'll get into that here in a second. But we have several other brands coming on board, like Peerless Nutrition will be our next brand, and so forth and so on. So as we grow, we'll be adding more and more products and services to the Fight Abuse program, and it will, at one point, all be fulfilled in one location. So jumping over to Lunison, this is where I'm going to blow through this. If you want more information on Lunison, you can look at lunison.com, but I don't want to bore you with all the nutritional epigenetic stuff right now. But it's what we have, over 130 published studies. This is what I've been working on since the year 2001. As I mentioned, we started at University of California, Berkeley, and moved to UC Davis. We started going international to London and doing some work there in England, I should say, and then Illinois, and then Missouri. We really found a good home here in Missouri as we were doing some of this research, where I met Senator Kit Bond. At that time, he was senator of Missouri, and then Jay Nixon was the governor. So met a lot of governors and senators that we were working with, mainly because we got a lot of research out of the Department of Defense. So Missouri Plant Science Center came out of our research and my company's work. So we ended up teaming up with the University of Missouri and the federal and state government to build this shared use innovation platform. So I helped build this, and I was executive director of this program for the first 4 years of operation. During all of this time, we got our research was showcased, and we had CNN and NBC and others do little stories on us. And this is Dr. Galvez, the discoverer of Lunison. We got 2 patents out of the University of Missouri based on our research. There was 3 of us that did this, but unfortunately, Dr. Carl Hastings has passed away. But there was 3 of us on this team, and this is why we're starting off with Relive products, because that technology and those patents are found in these products that Relive International markets. This just shows you the product works, and I won't go through the adiponectin, circulating free fatty acids, and leptin, but it definitely, free fatty acids is bad, so it dropped it down, and the subjects that were on the study, when we took them off the product, it went back up. Adiponectin and leptin, you want high levels. This is like the hormone that helps you satiate, and as soon as you go off of them, off the product, it went back down. This is an individual case study on macular edema with type 2 diabetes. This is where parts of our patent lies. The macula right here on the back of your eye is supposed to look like this. It's kind of a concave macula. What happens is it fills up with blood and causes it to be swollen and can cause blindness in individuals. So this is an actual retina scan. Now, guys, I'm showing you the best stuff here. Okay, other patients didn't get quite this result, so I'm showcasing our wins here. I want to be clear on that. But you can see it. This is a picture of the back of the eyeball, and you can it looks like a mountainous range, if you will. And then a month later, it didn't get back to normal, but the individual was legally blind here, and with corrective lenses was able to pass the DMV test. So that is a life enhancer, big time for that individual. So the products that they were on was the Lunarich X, and now. So this is before it actually came to market. Okay, these are formulaic compounds and combinatorial compounds that were just in the research side of things. That's what they were taking, and then we went to market and commercialized it. And then we also came out, or they came out, Relive did, with a liquid form of Lunasin, which is a little bit better absorbability than the capsules. But those are both offered because a lot of people don't want to take the liquid. And then Fibrostore, I had absolutely nothing to do with that formula. Dr. Carl Hastings did, but it's a fantastic formula for gut health and probiotics. So this is just some before and after pictures of weight loss. And then the same, I guess, anchor products for now in Luna Rich can be bundled with some other products that help with inflammation and anti-aging. These two women had massive inflammation issues. They didn't all of a sudden anti-age in 5 days or 8 days. Okay, they just had a lot of inflammation. And if you get rid of the inflammation, not only in your appearance, but it really helps with your overall health. And then the kids, this is the part of my life that I enjoyed the most. I spent decades working with nutritional epigenetic products in developing countries, helping out children. I've traveled all over the world, and these are just some examples of the base of what's found in kids now that we were feeding these children. And I chose skin challenges just because of the visual impact it has. But when it comes to ADHD and some other things, there's been remarkable progress with the formulas there. So this is our start. We're starting off with Relive. And a lot of the reason why is just because of what I told you. We have a good story behind it. We were part of in some of their product launches. We were part of that research that was behind it. And they're just really good products. They're helping us with a platform, an affiliate platform, to get us off the ground. They're doing all of the fulfillment for us and capturing the payments right now. So eventually, as we grow, we're going to take over that part and control that. But just to get going, this is where we're at. The next phase is Lunasin in the extreme athlete world. And the same peptide that's found in the health products that Relive markets, we will enhance that with other combinatorial formulate compounds for the extreme athlete. And this is really where most of my life has been, is in this world here, the athletic world. So we're coming up with Peerless Nutrition. You can tell the branding is completely different, but it appeals to that demographic, which is our UFC fighters, professional football, soccer, and then we also still working and have touch points with the Department of Defense to help with impact of and trauma that these soldiers have gone through at war. So not only does Lunasin help with the recovery, like just overworking your muscle and being sore, to an actual injury like a knee injury, but what we're really hoping for and we're striving for is mental impact on like CTE, Alzheimer's, dementia, because these individuals have head trauma time and time again. And if you just reduce the inflammation a little bit, it causes the brain to lessen in the swelling. You can potentially help with those issues. So this is our model. It's we have individuals that come on. We call them athlete. This is on the athlete side of things. Athlete marketing managers who work with the athletes to promote them, their name, image, and likeness. And then all those athletes have at their hometown, in this particular case, this is Michigan, and UFC fighters and stuff that have trained these athletes. So I picked wrestling for this particular example because that's who we're working with quite a bit at the University of Missouri. So we're doing a lot at Mizzou. Once we're up and running, this is where we're going to get back on. This is Dr. Galvez. We've been interviewed This is all in the combat sports area. These are my business partners. This is Amir Abdallah, who's Mike Tyson's promoter, and then Badou Jack is a 2-division world champion. This guy over here, he works with a lot of the athletes in the nutrition, mainly cutting weight and rehydrating afterwards. This is Sam Alvey, the UFC guy I was telling you about, and these are some of my other business partners. So we're moving forward. This is when we're up and running. We'll be bringing these guys in. And then we also have contact with this guy. He plays a little football. I think he plays for a team near you guys somewhere, right? Has a girlfriend that's fairly popular. But he has a really cool 87 and running program. This is the reason right here, while I'm still in Missouri. When I was running the Plant Science Center, I met her and we got married. We've been married a little over 5 years now. So instead of moving into Vegas where the business is, or back to Northern California, I'm here. So then we have Success Tech, which I won't get into at this point, but that is, I'm trying to shorten up the presentation here, but I hope that gives you a good broad sense of what we're doing. We're starting off with the Relive product, but that's not it. We're moving on into other products and services. We want to get into wearables, things that will help people, 3D imaging or virtual reality things, anything that can help a child who might be going through an episode sit in a quiet, safe environment with these 3D goggles on. That same technology can help an athlete focus. That same technology can help somebody recover from a crisis like rape or abuse or something like that. So everything we do, in every step of the way, we want to help people enhance their lives. Anything from making a side hustle of a couple thousand, $2,000-$3,000 a month, which can be huge for some people, because that's really all they need to take a lot of stress off their life, to full-blown career opportunities with us, full-time opportunities, all while we're helping other people. So giving everybody a purpose to help other people. If you have a purpose and hope, then your life changes considerably. So that's who we are and where we're going. So again, just to be transparent, we're focusing most of our efforts here locally because of our bandwidth, but we do have some people that we just because of their expertise and they know direct sales. Those are kind of what we're looking for as individuals. I don't really come from a direct sales background. I have been involved with like Relive. I've stood up, in front of, if you're from Amway, you've been through these big thousands of people thing. And I've done talks where we talk, mainly my job was to talk about the technology that we developed, plus the entrepreneurship, because that's all I do. Really, I'm not good at a lot of things. Creating disruptive business models is one of them. I would say I'm very in the top few percentage, in the top 5 that I've met of individuals I met. The other thing I'm really good at is I can tell you what's going to happen in a movie, and it drives my wife nuts. Right?
Same.
Yeah. It's like, so that person,
keep it to yourself.
he's gay, but and she's all, where do you get that? Outside of that, man, my expertise kind of goes down quickly. Yeah. So I stick in my lane. Yeah. So that's where we're at. And so network, I was kind of sidetracked there. Getting people who've been in a direct sales or understand that is important, because we're not a network marketing company. Really, the whole model is built off of, I stole it from the insurance business. It's the same model. It's a 3-tiered payout program, just like as if you were a broker. So like a program development manager would be a broker, for the fight abuse program, if you will, overseeing a handful of nonprofits. So we will help. Their responsibility is to make sure that nonprofit thrives. So that's kind of our business model. And then underneath that is where all of the ambassadors lie. So every all of our ambassadors that want the side hustle, what they are producing revenue wise goes up through to the nonprofits. So our main focus is the nonprofits. That's our main focus. The business is kind of like a tack on of that, if that makes sense. Okay. There's a huge interest in, and why I'm bringing this up is because the Mizzou sports and athletic program, which we're going to be tied in pretty heavy, and it's called Stripes. That program is called Stripes. It's underneath the fight abuse umbrella, but and it's spelled with a Y instead of an I for trademark purposes and make it a little bit, more unique. But the Stripes program is the NIL. It's supporting the NIL of those athletes to help them in their athletic. And because of my connections, getting a Nike or a Reebok sponsorship for some of these guys, this is a way, for them to showcase what they're doing and actually get a good sponsor as well. So we have a lot. I typically don't bring that up in the first meeting, but since you're from Mizzou and you like the Mizzou Tigers, that's where we're going. We have a lot of people really focused in on that. And that company, we're hoping to have spun up. It's going to be a subsidiary of Fight Abuse, but we're hoping this summer of spinning that one up. We're going to get some funding in, to get that off the ground.
So Ryan, what are the most effective ways to help right now? It sounds like individuals, but within the individual, because there's several churches that Casey's got close relationships within Columbia. Is that helpful at all?
It is. Absolutely. And again, I like to showcase where we are because some people say, hey, maybe in a couple months, Ryan, I'd love to introduce you to these guys, but I don't think you're ready right now. And I'm going to be leaving it up to you guys. If you know those individuals, where we are right now, and we might be too early for a meeting with them or not. In some cases, people like to know what we're doing and help us out. We are looking for people who are we're looking for a mastermind group, and we have a few members now, but people who really understand where we're going from all different backgrounds. So like some of it might be nonprofits, understanding what the needs are there, athletic, administrators, maybe retired, understanding how to navigate the collegiate sports arena, for lack of a better description, excuse the pun. And then also marketing and logistics. We're going to be building a Stripes fulfillment center here. It's going to be called the Stripes Catalyst Center. And that is where we're going to have a mini Amazon fulfillment center here in the Columbia area. And then also the idea is to have on that campus or in that building places where people can come, entrepreneurial minded individuals, aging out teens, let's say as an example, that coming out of foster care, they can go there to get a vocational program off the ground, because most cases these kids turn 18 and the state says, see you later, you're out on your own. So the Stripes program is or that Catalyst Center. So we have big time plans. As you can tell, this is going to be what I'm going to do the rest of my life. I'm not retiring from this. I'm going to retire in it. I'm building something. Now, some of the companies, we own 5 different companies, part of 5 different companies. We're going to sell those. That's what I retire on. That's what I'm building to retire on. But this Fight Abuse program is something I'm going to retire in, as long as I'm functional and can do it. But it is definitely a community-driven thing. So we're bringing on individuals, almost kind of like well, there's really nothing to describe it. But when all of us founders, which are getting on in years, when we're gone, we want it to stay, to keep going. And so a lot of it is bringing on young individuals that are in lockstep with our vision, and then we can hand it off to them, and they can keep going. So it's kind of like a stunting program. We did a lot of nutritional in developing countries for kids who have been stunted. It's a generational thing. So mama is giving birth to a baby, and she's only 13. she's still developing on her own. So her body naturally takes all of the resources away from the baby to feed her because she's still growing. And it's just a generational thing, and it causes stunting. So a lot of the initiatives that we put together a decade or so ago, I'll never see the benefit of it because I'll be dead and gone. But hopefully the program will keep moving. And so that's what we're doing with the Fight Abuse program, something kind of a legacy thing to have people, you know how companies will say it's a employee owned business, you know, like an ESOP. Okay. We're trying to create something like that to where people coming in, they can participate in this. Everybody needs to make money. We're not ever going to apologize for making money. You know, it's what you have to do. It's what you do with it and how you do it is the challenge. Capitalism, in my opinion, is the best form of government. You take corruption and greed out of it and all that. It's a good mechanism. It's just that part spoils everything for people. So got off on a tangent there. Sorry.
That's all right.
As we test products, now they're all good quality products, but it might be something like, hey, we're still playing around with the taste profile or whatever. Like a lot of times we like people's opinion on that, and especially on the sports side, because we have to go to market to get the Informed Sport anti-doping credentials. So we actually have to kind of sell the product for, you know, whatever, $1 a piece or something like that. But we have to be on the market. Then we get tested. Then we get cleared, and then the pro athletes can take it. So there's a bunch of like 2 to 3 months where we have product, and we just want to get people to try it out and give us their feedback and all that. So I just wanted to throw that out there.